Okay, so we know that we need the equation y equals mx plus b form, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. And so you can see in equation 1 that it's already in y equals mx plus b. The y is by itself. We have a number next to our letter or our variable, and then we have our consonant by itself. So that means that our m is that 3, and the thing by itself is our b, which is our y-intercept. And so we have slope is 3, and our y-intercept is -7. For number 2, y is not by itself yet, so we need to draw a line, and we're going to get y by itself by adding 1 to both sides. So now these cancel out. -1 plus 1 is 0, leaving us just with our y equals, and then I have -2/3 x plus 1, but this 1 doesn't have an x, so they are not like terms, so I can't combine them. So that means that I just rewrite my fraction, my letter, and then I add that 1 at the end. And so now that it's in y equals mx plus b form, we can see that our slope is -2/3, and remember we keep it as a fraction, and don't add the x, we just want the number. And then our y-intercept is just 1. So why is this important? This helps us graph an equation in y equals mx plus b form, or that slope-intercept form, which the reason they call it slope-intercept is because it gives us our slope and it gives us our y-intercept. So it says graph y equals -3 plus 3 and identify the y or the x-intercept. So first we need to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So our slope, which is represented by m, is -3, and our y-intercept, which is represented by a b in the equation, is +3. So now turn the y-intercept into a point. Now remember, up in our vocab, it says that our y-intercept is when x equals 0. So when we write a point, we write the point as xy, and so we know that our x is 0 and our y is our y-intercept, which is a 3. So that gives us 1 point automatically on our graph, and once we have that 1 point, we can graph the rest of the line. So now it says use the slope to find the next point. So before we can do that, we're going to graph 0, 3. So the center or our origin is where we start, and we move to the left or right 0. So we're going to stay on that origin, and we go up 3, and we plot that point. And that's our y-intercept because our y is that line going vertically in the middle of our graph. And then our x is our horizontal axis. So now that we have that 0, 3, we can use the slope to go to our next point. So our slope is always written as a fraction. So we have -3, but remember any whole number can be written over a 1. So this is our rise over our run, which means that I go down 3 over 1. So I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, and that brings us to our next point. And I can continue doing this across my axis, and then I can draw that line. It's going to be a little shaky on my computer, I apologize. But it goes through that point on our axis, and it makes a straight line. Whenever you draw a line on a graph, I want you to have at least 3 points and then your arrows at the end of the line, and make sure that you have it go across the entire graph. Don't just only do those points. This is not a proper graph. So we want it to go through the entire line. or the entire graph. So our y-intercept is when our y is 0, we want to know what our x is. So where does it cross this axis? So it crosses the axis right here. And so our y-intercept from our origin, we go over 1. So our x-intercept, is 1, 0. So our x-intercept we write as 1, 0. And then don't forget your parentheses. And I want you to do this one on your own, and then you'll check your answer with mine.